Welcome and thank you for being with us today at New Wesleyan. Today's episode is kind of different than anything we've done before. What we're going to focus on is just a couple of questions, a question and answer session, if you will, based on a couple questions that I've received in. And the first question that I want to answer, the question was, can I be a Christian and speak out on politics and social issues? And I think that question came to us, or particularly to me, because I'm very outspoken on political and social issues that are affecting us today, particularly those that affect us as Christians. And I think some people, because of beliefs that the separation of church and state applies to everything in religion and politics, that people confuse that belief with that Christians, particularly those in ministry and outreach, cannot be outspoken on politics and social issues. Now, the separation of church and state primarily lies on the government side. Government cannot dictate one religion over another, and there are various other aspects of the separation of church and state. But it really doesn't apply to what we do as Christians in speaking out on political and social issues that affect us. We can do that. In fact, we're encouraged to do that. I want to read to you real quick a little bit about the authority of government. Now, 1 Timothy 2:1 and 2 says, "First of all, then I urge that supplications, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for all people, for kings and all who are in high positions, that we may lead a peaceful and quiet life, godly and dignified in every way." Now, what that's telling us is that the two can coexist, politics and Christianity, and that we have to merge the two so that we can live peacefully. Now, what we're seeing today across America and literally around the world in relation to the unrest that we have here is that people have decided not to work with government for change, but instead to not only attack the government, but also to attack anyone who doesn't agree with them. Now, that's not what God intended. It's clearly not what the scriptures tell us. We have to work together in unison to achieve both our social goals and our political goals. Yeah, I want to read to you a quick passage from Romans 3, verses 1 through 7. And that says, "Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. And those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear for the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain. For he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore, one must be in subjection, not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of conscience." Now, there's a lot in that. There's a lot. And I think it's important to point out a couple of the verses. Rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Now, I watched a gentleman yesterday, and I'm not going to play his video because it's full of pretty foul language, but he makes a couple points. And one of the points he makes is that he is not afraid of the police. Now, he's a black man saying he's not afraid of the police. And then he goes on to say the reason he's not afraid of the police is because he's not a criminal. He doesn't do anything wrong, so he has nothing to fear. And he goes on to point out that when he gets pulled over by the police, he's polite, he's cooperative, he answers their questions, and he doesn't resist arrest if they need to arrest him. He follows the law. And he points out as well that he's not following some white man's law. He's following the law of all people. It's the law of the land. And it's just not that hard. But the point that he makes overall is just simply that being black does not make you a target of the police. Being a criminal does make you a target. And there are white criminals, brown criminals, black criminals, every kind of criminal you can think of. But being black does not necessarily make you a victim. And that the community needs to come together and stop allowing influencers from outside of the community to convince them that they are victims of something they are not. You know, I don't want to mix, well, maybe I do want to mix a little politics into this, but I was reading the Black Lives Matter's website, and they have a manifesto of things they want to achieve socially. And one of the things that they want to achieve is they want to erase any thought or pretext that the nuclear family should be reinforced. They don't believe that a two-parent family is necessary in the black community, and they want to do away with it. Now, every scholar, literally every scholar on both sides of the aisle on this issue always come to the same conclusion about black crime and the communities that are literally feeding on themselves in relation to black on black crime, that it's the nuclear family or the loss thereof that contributes to that. There are no fathers in the homes by large parts, and that contributes to this. So it's very concerning, of course, to read something like that on their website and to know that is part of their platform. As Christians, I think we all believe, as God has told us, that a family consists of a mother and a father. Sometimes fathers die, sometimes mothers die, sometimes both dies, and that family nucleus is broken or split, and that's understood. But the goal, of course, is to have a two-parent home. The other verse I wanted to kind of touch on, would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval. All right? And that's not saying that we need to seek the police's approval for our conduct or the government's approval. The point in that verse is that if we do good, we have nothing to fear. It's only those who are breaking the law, committing crimes, and engaging in criminal activity that have the law to fear. You know, in every single one of these murders of black men by cops, it's been part of a law enforcement action. All right, the police didn't just show up to arrest somebody. It was a law enforcement action because the law was called because someone was breaking it. So it's important to remember that when we reflect on these issues. But if you do wrong, be afraid. for he does not bear the sword in vain. And that's so true, and that goes back to what I just said. If you commit a crime, you certainly should be afraid, because the law is going to come after you. And the law isn't doing that just for entertainment that day. They're doing that because it's a necessary aspect to protecting our way of life here in America. I could go on and talk about this probably for hours, and I know you don't want me to, so I'm going to end that one right there. But I do want to kind of touch on the social justice issue. Isaiah 1:17 says, "Learn to do good, seek justice, correct oppression, bring justice to the fatherless, plead the widow's case." And that's what we are kind of charged as Christians to do. I had a friend make a post on Facebook about how he wanted everyone to, for the next 7 days or so, not post negative news, politics, social justice issues, the whole 9 yards. And then if you violated that you should be unfriended. Well, my reply back was that I should be unfriended right now before we even get started with this process. Just unfriend me. Because I believe I need to follow God's instructions and Jesus Christ's instructions to look out for the welfare of others. Now, I can look out for my own welfare pretty well. There are people that need others to help them look out for their welfare. We have underserved communities. We have individuals who are living in poverty that is unimaginable in America today. And we need to look out for them. We need to do what Jesus said and do for the least of these. All right? And what we do for them, we are doing for Jesus. We're doing it for God. So we have to do good. We have to seek justice, and the only way we can seek justice is to speak out on it. All right? We have to correct oppression when and where we see it, and the only way we can do that is to speak out on it. We have to bring justice to the fatherless. We have to try and restore the nuclear family, a two-parent family. I don't know how we get there from here, but I do know that we need to pray on it, and we need to find resolution. And we need to plead the widow's case. And I think we all do that. But again, all these things require us to be active in our communities, and quite literally active in politics, and we cannot be silent on these issues. We cannot let those who would attack the two-family structure or two-parent structure of family to continue to advance their ideology. We cannot allow crime to run rampant in our communities. We have to stand against that. We have to bring justice equally and fairly to everyone, not just to the one person that's in the news today. So I thank you for being with me as we kind of discuss these two questions. There are other questions, and we'll work those in other videos. I don't want to make this too long, but it's important to me, and I hope it's important to you, that we are active in our communities. We are active in the national politics of our country, and that we are doing that so that we can not only protect our rights and the rights of others, but that we can ensure social justice on issues that affect all of us can be brought to bear. My next, or one of my next videos coming up, we're going to be talking about Christianity and abortion. Now, that's a hot topic issue, not just for millions of people in our country. It's a very important issue to me, and it should be a very important issue to all Christians. We will be back with you shortly for another video as we answer questions that come in to us. And I hope God blesses you in so many ways. I pray that the peace of Jesus Christ is something that you know and understand and are able to share with others, because it is through our individual evangelism that we bring others to know Jesus Christ. Thanks for being with us.